So here we go. As I was saying, that when it comes to Chagim, by us, by the Jews, every Chag is in order to work through the point of the Chag. Every Chag is a different point. You have Pesach, for example, is the Koach HaEmunah. It's the Koach, the foundation. It's the birth of the nation of the Jews. Shavuot is Matan Torah. The time that we have to connect with the Torah. Every Chag is not because of just what happened it would happen in the times of the, when the Jews were in the desert and everything, and when they came out of Egypt. It's not just what happened, but it's in order to work through the same point, the same energies that were flowing through that time. Those are the energies that are flowing through this time, and it's misugal. It's a time that is appropriate to work for these nekudot. And when Purim comes in, it's a time for simcha. Now we have to understand what it means, a time for simcha. Time for simcha is not just a simple simcha, let's go, let's be happy, let's drink. It says that it's very hard to understand when it says that you have to drink on Purim. People have to drink until it says Adar yada. It's written in Shulchan Aruch. What does it mean? What does it mean that it says in Shulchan Aruch you have to go and get drunk until you don't have a head?
Allez les boys, please. On va même entendre comme ça.
Mehmet, we have to ask ourselves, Purim, it's not a time just to get drunk and to do pour faire la fête. It's not just that. We have to understand what's the meaning. So here we go. Let's try to understand. Together with this Parashat Teruma. It says, Ve'ikru li teruma. Daber el bnei Yisrael ve'ikru li teruma. You should take teruma for me. Me'et kol ish asher yidevenu libo, from everybody that will give their hearts. Tikru et terumati. You should take my teruma. So what does it mean? Rashi says, Ve'ikru li teruma. First of all, when Hashem wants to tell you to give something to the Mishkan, to give something to the temple, it shouldn't say ve'ikru. It should be yitnu. You should give, not ve'ikru. To take teruma, yes, you should take, but from your pocket you should give. But really, it's really about a giving. What's the taking? Li, Rashi says, ve'ikru li teruma li. Rashi says, lishmi, for my sake, for my honor. What do you mean? Who else? We're making the temple for who? For Hashem. So why would I take teruma not for Hashem? Ve'ikru li. You should have said ve'ikru teruma. They should take teruma. Why ve'ikru li teruma? And Rashi says li lishmi. Of course lishmicha. Why? What is Rashi trying to add? Lishmi. That's question number 2. Me'et kol ish asher yidevenu libo. From each person that you should take the teruma, tikru et terumati. It says again, tikru et terumati. I know you should have told me like this. You should take my teruma from each person that will donate his heart. And also we have to understand what it means that the Torah wants you to give your heart. That means somewhere that it's not just a donation that Hashem wants. Hashem wants you to give something that's special, something that's in your heart. We're going to have to understand what that means. And then it says that Moshe, Hashem tells Moshe that you should make the menorah. V'asita et menorah, v'asita et shulchan. It says all these things. V'asita, to you, to Moshe Rabbeinu. But it doesn't say by the Aaron v'asita, by the Aaron HaKodesh. Everybody knows that the Ramban in this week's parasha, in the first Ramban in this week's parasha, it says that the main point of the Mishkan was in order to take the Shekhinah from Mahar Sinai and to bring it into the Mishkan, to take that Hashem spoke to us at Har Sinai, and to take that Kiddusha, that Shekhinah, and to bring it into the Mishkan, to put it into a building. That's what Hashem wanted to do. And the problem is that Moshe is going to ask, I don't understand, how can it be? The skies and the skies of the skies can't even handle you. You're nowhere to be mitzumtzam. You can't be limited. So how can it be that Hashem wants us to make a house for Him? I don't understand. It can't be. How can it make sense that Hashem, I want you to make me a house, make me a mansion, no problem. But God, what does He need? He owns everything. He needs you to make a mansion. He's all spiritual. He's much more than spiritual. We can't even fathom what He is. And He needs you to make a place. What kind of thing is going on over here? And it says that the main point of the Aron, the main point of the whole Mishkan was in order to keep the Torah which was inside the Aron. Aron HaKodesh, we all know it's the Kiruvim. It's those, I don't know the English word for it, but it's what's the English word? Anybody can tell me? The Kiruvim, everybody knows. It's over there that right under was the Aron HaKodesh, was this little box that had the Luchot and the Sefer Torah and the Luchot that were broken also were all inside. And that was the main point of the whole temple, to keep the Aron HaKodesh. And that's where it was kept in the Kodesh HaKodashim, where Aron HaKohen would go only once a year in Yom Kippur. So it's important to understand what is the point. Because it says by the Aron HaKodesh, ve'asu et Aaron. And they will do the Aron. Every other keli, every other point, every other vessel that was in the Beit HaMikdash, in the Mishkan, the menorah, the shulchan, it says ve'asita, and you will do. Speaking singular to Moshe Rabbeinu. But when it says about the Aaron, it says ve'asu et Aaron. And they should make the Aaron. And as well it says ve'asu li migdash. It says later on in the parasha, ve'asu li migdash. You should make me a place which is holy. Ve'shachanti betocham. And I will reside amongst them. What does it mean, ve'shachanti betocham? And ve'asu also. Doesn't say ve'asita migdash. Ve'asita li migdash. Doesn't say singular to Moshe ve'asu. It says it plural. Seemingly speaking to everybody of Klal Yisrael. So the Aron HaKodesh and the Mishkan were both directed to the entire population. The rest of the Kelim were just directed to Moshe Rabbeinu. What is the message over here? As well, it says that if Moshe Rabbeinu, if Hashem wanted that he should be, V'shachanti betocham, that he should make a place where Hashem is going to reside, then he should have said, V'shachanti betocho. He should have said that Hashem he's going to reside inside the house, inside the temple. Why did he say betocham, amongst them? Seeming like there's no real purpose to the Mishkan. It's about them. It's about the Bnei Israel. What's going on? So we have to understand. As we said, that Moshe Rabbeinu, when he got the tzivui, when he got the commandment to make the Mishkan, Moshe Rabbeinu told Hashem, how can it be possible? You're much greater. You're much greater than a physical building. How can it be possible that we can make a building that you're going to come into? And Hashem said, you know what? Not like you think, I think. I think differently than you. You're going to make me a Mishkan, and you're going to make me, he told him all the measurements, and then he says in the Midrash, if you do so, I'm going to go out from my mansion up there, from the skies, from wherever Hashem resides up there, and I'm going to come down into your place that you're going to make me. How can it be, Rabotai? How can it be? Up there, in the high places of Hashem, where Hashem resides now, He's ready to come down to this low world, the lowest of the low, and He's ready to reside amongst us humans, the lowest of the low people, lowest of the low creations. There's Malachim, there's Seraphim, there's Chayot HaKodesh, there's Kiddusha up there. Hashem's ready to leave all that Kiddusha to come down to reside by us. How can that be? Are we greater than the Malachim? Are we greater than the Seraphim? The Chayot HaKodesh? How can it be? Hashem is willing to leave the Kodesh, the place where the Kedusha is, and He's willing to come and dwell amongst us. How can it be? But that's what Hashem said. If you do exactly as I tell you, I'm willing to come down. I'm willing to come down. I'm ready to leave my Kedusha to come down here. So we have to understand, what was Moshe thinking before? What was Moshe thinking? Once again, Hashem, how can you come down into a physical place? And what did Hashem answer him? So what? How is it going to be that you're going to come down? It still doesn't understand. I don't understand how you're supposed to come down to a physical place. So we have to understand more. So it says over here like this, that in order to make the Mishkan, it had to be completely L'Shem Shamayim. In order to make the Mishkan, there's a Yesod, the fundamental lesson to be taught over here. It had to be completely, from beginning to end, it had to be completely L'Shem Shamayim. We see it's recorded in Tanakh, in the Navi, Shlomo HaMelech. When he wanted to make the Beit HaMikdash, it says that David HaMelech was not zochet to build the Beit HaMikdash. However, Shlomo says, Techiram, I'm able to make the Beit HaMikdash, but not my father. And he didn't want to tell him, but this was the reason why. Because David HaMelech made wars. And if he made wars, it was said that if they were able to have the Beit HaMikdash, then they would pray through the Beit HaMikdash. It would reach Hashem much more directly, and it would help gain wars. It would help win the war. If they would pray and they would have a Beit HaMikdash, they would win all the wars. So David HaMelech When he wanted to make the Bet HaMikdash, he was told not to. He didn't get the permission. But Shlomo HaMelech, yes. David HaMelech, why couldn't he build the Bet HaMikdash? Says Rav Chaim Shmulevitz, because it was not going to be L'Shem Shamayim completely. Even though that winning the wars against the Goyim, the Pelishtim, and against all the other enemies of the Klal Yisrael, it's going to be a Kiddush Hashem. It's going to show that the Bnei Yisrael, you can't fight with them, you can't take them over. However, there was still something that David HaMelech would have gained, personal gain. By building the Bet HaMikdash, it would have made it that the tefillot would have been accepted much faster, and Hashem would have listened, and he would have destroyed all the enemies, and David HaMelech would have gained personally from that. Even though that there was a great purpose to that, but still there was something lacking. There was something lacking in the lishma, the complete, that it's only for Hashem. And that's why he was not zochet to make the Bet HaMikdash. However, Shlomo HaMelech, he was zochet to make the Bet HaMikdash because he was able to make it completely L'Shem Shamayim. Because David HaMelech fought all the wars. David HaMelech already made the ground, made it all, calm. And now, Shlomo HaMelech doesn't have to think about the words. They already have the power. So now, Shlomo HaMelech has the power to make the Bet HaMikdash. So you see that in order to make the Bet HaMikdash, in order to make a Mishkan, it has to be li lishmi. Like Rashi said, that it has to be completely for Hashem. If not, then there's no Bet HaMikdash. There's no such thing. You have to understand, how do you get there? How do we get to this L'Shem Shamayim? Doing something L'Shem Shamayim. So doing something L'Shem Shamayim, Rabotai, the Yesod is like this. Me'ed kol ish asher yidevenu libo tikhu et terumati. That the person that he has to give from himself. That means that we see, for example, about the Nisim. The Nisim were the leaders of Klal Yisrael, and they were. It says, what did they bring? The Avnei Shuam and the Avnei Miluim, which were the stones that were on the Shechoshen. Yeah, how do you say the tablet over there? The template. The Avnei Shuam and Avnei Miluim, they were brought by the Nisim, and they were mentioned the last as a donation. They were mentioned at the end. Question is, what do you mean? These beautiful stones, these most precious stones were one of the greatest donations that were able to be given to Bet HaMikdash. And they were mentioned at the end. What's the reason? Because the answer is like this. The Nisim, and they also lost a Yud. And they also lost a Yud. And when you write Nisim, you write it with a Yud, and they lost their Yud. Why did they lose their Yud? Because they said like this. We are going to give you a blank check, and you fill out the check. The problem was that Moshe Rabbeinu said a phrase that no rabbi you'll ever hear say ever again. What did he say? We have enough money. We have enough cash. The Maaseh, Moshe Rabbeinu, the Nisim, they said, well, if there's something missing, we'll give it. But the Bnei Israel, they were ready to give. They were all ready to give everything that needed to be done. So there was no purpose in the end. But in order for them not to lose anything, to lose the opportunity to give, so therefore Hashem made it that they were able to give the Avnei Shuam and the Avnei Miluim. However, there was something lacking, that they were lazy. They didn't go out and give from themselves quickly. They waited till everybody gave, and if there was something missing, we're going to fill, which is a beautiful thing. However, there was something lacking. And that's why it's mentioned at the end. It's not so special. In other words, Hashem, He wants that you should give something that's precious to you. That's what He wants. When you want to make a Bet HaMikdash, you think Hashem needs a physical building in order for Him to reside? That's not the point. Hashem wants to create a movement. Hashem wants to move you. Hashem wants to say, let's see if you want it, how much you want it. That's what we need in order to make the Bet HaMikdash. It needs to be L'Shem Shamayim. It needs to come from you. You need to break yourself. You needed to give when it hurts. You need to keep the Torah when it hurts. That's the point. The point is Hashem says, Me'asu li mikdash, not because I want to reside inside this mansion, but because I want to reside amongst them. And how do we reside amongst them? How do we reside amongst the Bnei Israel? You have to open your heart. You have to open your heart in order to receive the Kedusha from Hashem. You have to open your heart in order to make a bit HaMikdash. How much you want Hashem to come down here? How much you really want it? And that's what Hashem wanted. When we come to the month of Adar, Rabotai, when we come to the month of Adar, it's a time where Hashem is coming down. Aleph Dar, the Aluf Shel Olam, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the one, he's coming to reside amongst us. And it's a month full of Simcha, and Purim is a big Simcha. We have to understand a little bit what the Simcha of Purim is going to be like. The Simcha of Purim, Rabotai, at the end of the day, you have to understand that we have to get drunk, yes, but you have to understand you have to get the level of Adilu Yada. And not that you lose your mind, but Adilu Yada, until you get that you serve Hashem without the logical conclusion. And let me explain. And we go through nisyonot, we go through challenges, we go through suffering, we go through things in life, and we always think, why does this have to happen to me? Why is this bad thing have to happen to me? Why is this? Why is that? Why do I have to smash in this guy's car? Why do I have to be like this? Why do I have to lose my license? Why do I have to lose this? Why do I have to get this fine? And we don't always understand why. But Rabotai, Purim is about taking the bad that happened in our lives, taking the bad in the world, and saying and coming to the conclusion that all the suffering, all that I had to go through, was of serving the good, was all there in order to make me a better person, was all there in order to make me better. It's all serving the good. And that's the understanding we have to get by Purim. And how do we do that? We have something that's special. We have something that's higher than the Malachim, Rabotai. And this is the reason why Hashem wants to come to us and to leave His Kedusha. We have something that's special. We have something called the Yetzer Hara. We have something called the evil inclination. And this is something that is a gift. In order for us to receive our Olam Haba, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't want us to receive our Olam Haba for free. So instead He gave us the Yetzer Hara, a way of putting a challenge in front of us, in order for us to overcome the challenge, in order for us to get to Olam Haba and say, Hashem, it's my sachar, it's my reward, I own it. I worked through it. And you have to give it to me because I worked through it. If Hashem said, oh, come to my house, take whatever you want, you feel bad, you feel like, oh, I'm taking advantage. But when you come and you say, Hashem, I paid for it, give it to me, you feel good. And that's what Hashem wants to give us, this good feeling. So Hashem gave us the Yetzer Hara, and He sees that in the Yetzer Hara, it's difficult, it's hard. It's hard to overcome the challenges, and it's hard to keep your Torah when it's hard. But however, Hashem wants it. Hashem wants that when it's hard, that you should keep the Torah in order for what? To give your heart. He wants you to give your heart for Hashem. Give Him your heart. And Hashem's going to come down into your heart. He's going to come down. That's the point. That's how you make a Mishkan. Hashem wanted to teach us what it means to give. If there was no Yetzer Hara, how can we give to Hashem a tefillah? If there was no Yetzer Hara, how can we give Hashem any limud Torah? If it wasn't for the Yetzer Hara, how can we grow? How can we show Hashem that we really want to come close to Him? It's all easy if there's no Yetzer Hara. The Malachim, they don't even understand how it can be possible to do something negative against the will of Hashem. But however, the Bnei Israel, Hashem sees that it's dear. It's dear to us for us to give up the ta'avot, the desires. So this is the point, this is the Kedusha. This is the reason why we have Simcha, because when you understand what's Simcha, Simcha is Tzmicha. It's the same, the sin and the tzaddik can be intertwined. What does it mean? Happiness? Why is someone happy? Because he felt like he grew. When he feels like he grew, he realizes that he grew, he became higher. He became higher than what he was before. He understood more than what he was before. Then he has the simcha. For example, a person is found in a hard time and his mind is closed. His mind is narrow. He's in a tough situation. He doesn't know how to think outside the box. But if it wasn't, and later on, he passes this challenge, a few years pass, and he looks back and he says, wow, how can I have been so narrow? Now, Baruch Hashem, I'm able to think outside. I'm able to be I'm able to think much greater. How come? If it wasn't for that challenge, Rabotai, if it wasn't for that, you wouldn't have grown. And that challenge served the good. It served you. You have to say thank you for that challenge. And that's when it comes to Purim, you have to understand that when you remove the sechel, when you remove the logic, you come and you say all your decisions, you start to see all your decisions. They start to come out. When you drink wine, nichnas yain yatzah sod. When you drink wine, the secrets come out. It's not the secrets come out. It's the interior that comes out. The interior fight. You start to be mitbonen. You start to understand. You start to realize, internalize your efforts. And that's the specialty of Purim. The specialty of Purim that is bring us a complete attachment with Hashem. Why? Because we remove our logic. We remove our logic and we look inside. We look inside the heart a little bit. We look inside and we see how many decisions we made good, how many decisions we made that were bringing us closer to Hashem. So from now, our job now is to start building ourselves to get closer to Hashem. And how is that? By overcoming the difficult choices, by overcoming the desires. If you do that, then you're going to get to a Purim where you're going to be able to enjoy from Hashem's presence. But if you don't make the right decision, how are you going to bring Hashem's presence into you? If you don't make the right decisions, if you don't try to overcome the challenges, it's easy to give in to the desires. It's easy. There's no work required. But when you work and you build your connection with Hashem, we all know that when you give into a project, when you're mashkia, when you invest yourself into something, you have enjoyment from that thing. So the same thing goes with Hashem. When you invest yourself in Hashem, when you break yourself to overcome those challenges, when you break yourself to overcome those desires, that's what's going to get your connection with Hashem. And that's what Purim's all about, to take away the mind and to look at who you became, yourself, to the self. So without Hashem, this is what Hashem wants when He wants us to make a mishkan. To give your heart, and finally, v'yikru. That's why it says v'yikru, because really, v'yikru li teruma. You should take. It's going to be at the end of the day. It's for you. This giving, it's really the best thing you can do. It's really taking. It's really for yourself. So with that I'm going to finish. And whoever still has a little bit, with Hashem, may we drink to have a connection with Hashem, meaning to make the connections, to make the decisions, the right decisions that we should get to Purim. With Hashem, we pass the mind, we pass the dot, we get to the self, we get to the heart, and access mamash dvekut b'Hashem.